Hi everyone and welcome. This pick a card reading is brought to you by 1millionnights.com, an international spiritual platform connecting various spiritual advisors from many different traditions with potential clients from all over the planet. The subject of this pick a card reading is rather simple. It is messages or guidance from our higher selves. The term higher self to be understood as the divine, or better said quantum intelligence buried deep in our unconscious mind, which many times has a much greater influence over our everyday routines, our everyday normality, and most importantly, on our decisions and choices than we can possibly imagine. All of us are going through a massive pivotal moment globally, a transition period where we are leaving behind the old paradigm and embracing the new one. So this is a rather difficult and complicated period for all of us, where we can use some guidance, a little bit of divine inspiration, or a spark of hope and clarity from the spirit. Because one way or another, no matter who we are and which role we embody, we still face some rather difficult times nevertheless. The instructions for this pick a card reading are very simple. Just look at the 3 pile of cards for a couple of seconds, but of course you can take as much time as you need, and then choose a symbol which appeals to your intuitive senses the most. Then of course just jump straight to the interpretation of the symbol chosen by you. Thank you so much for playing with us, and please stay tuned because in the following I'm going to interpret the cards for all of the 3 symbols. For those of you who have chosen the heart pile, your cards are the Ace of Swords reversed, King of Swords reversed, Ace of Cups, Judgment reversed, 5 of Wands, and 4 of Wands. The Swords energy which opens the reading for you guys, well, it speaks about you and the archetype you embody. This speaks about a very strong and potent intellectual energy, so it refers to your mind, it refers to your intelligence, it refers to your IQ. You were born with a very, very sharp and extremely quick mind, a multi-dimensional mind, so to speak. But this does have advantages and disadvantages altogether. Many people do think that basically a super intelligence or a very, very strong mind is a massive blessing in life. And on one hand, absolutely true, naturally, it gets things done. If anything, nature's gift to humankind as a species was intelligence, because that was our main tool to accomplish absolutely everything for us collectively. But many people might not realize the disadvantages of a very, very sharp mind and a super intelligent unconscious mind, because if your intelligence is so very sharp and you have full control over it, well then imagine what is buried deep inside the unconscious. What you can possess is just the tip of the iceberg. The rest is submerged deep in the most arcane corners of the mind. So this basically means that that part of your mental sphere, which is naturally not under your control, as in the unconscious part, that is way more powerful than you can ever imagine. Also, the sword cards might represent that you either have some kind of higher education. For some people, maybe more than one degree or diploma or a qualification, but at the same time it doesn't have to be anything official. It can simply represent your own studies, your own research, your personal efforts to refine and make the best out of your intelligence your own individual way. Because a downside of a very sharp mind is a very nonconformistic or rebellious attitude, because thanks to your intelligence, thanks to the openness of your mind, you can see the hidden tricks, the illusions, the traps, the potential compromises in anything. So your life was not really easy ever, and partially because you saw through anything and everything. So you couldn't be someone who was fooled easily. You weren't someone who lived in a bubble of illusion or dreams, but you always stared objective reality straight into its face. So, naturally, you stayed away from certain domains, jobs, careers, business even, as in everything that would allow you to make money or profit or a great advantage out of your intellectual capacity. Intelligence is one thing, but it cannot compensate life experience. So this sword energy, especially the Ace of Swords and the King of Swords, represents a lot of experiences in your past where you really, really tried to be very inventive, very creative, use your intellectual capacity, the fertility of your mental sphere, because you're someone with so many really, really good, ingenious, visionary ideas. You're always one step ahead of other people. You're always in tune with the new, with the next. Basically the Aquarius archetype, who can really, really think far, far ahead. So naturally you owed it to yourself to try your very, very best to put all of your virtues, all of your skills, all of your potential to good use. So you might have done a myriad of different things, experiments, projects, wanting to start a business, trying to be relevant, inspirational, and helpful in a certain domain, maybe in an industry, maybe become a teacher or a mentor or a trainer. Maybe some of you thought as far ahead as to try and revolutionize, upgrade a branch of industry, a science. So basically what I'm trying to say here is, due to your big potential and that you were actually aware of it, well, you really, really tried to do yourself justice by using your potential in a very active and productive and lucrative way. But because both of these cards are reversed, this doesn't necessarily mean failure, but it does mean that things never really worked out the way you expected. Even if you had massive success, it was only temporary, and then whatever you tried to accomplish, whatever you worked with, took totally different turns which you didn't really agree with. So it also involves a lot of surrender. It also involves, quitting and then jumping to the next, to the new, because, that sword can also cut. So you cut a lot of connections, you cut a lot of people out of your life. You even terminated very many of your own projects, which, entered stagnation mode. But even though you accumulated so much experience, so much know-how, basically, your mind became so very strong that by now it can learn many, many different things with infinite ease. It is enough for you to just look at how someone performs a job or a task or anything, and you can just learn it, inherit it, make it your own. So this is one expression or one of the blessings which your various different experiences and trying to work in so many different domains blessed you with. This is one of your karmic rewards for being so inventive, philosophical, and ultimately brave to have the initiative to go out and try to do something with it. It can also mean that before this whole global turmoil started, maybe the year 2019, or for some people going back even further, you were really motivated to truly embody your intelligence and to do something with your skills. So you might have thought of so many different projects. You really had very many ideas, epiphanies, moments of pure genius when that light bulb just illuminated your whole mind, and you got really, really excited because this time all of your plans, projects, and your ideas made a lot of sense and they were really, really promising. Just that fate, karma, call it whatever you want, intervened and it turned the whole global stage, the world stage, the economic, social, political climate into a quagmire where you just know that starting them would be really, really unwise, because on one hand, at this point, no matter how intelligent one is, they just can't predict or foresee the future with great certainty. And on the other hand, you know that there is much more to come because the old system is basically collapsing, and in a very palpable economic, social, legislative perspective. So that is palpable, that is certain. So you find yourself that all your plans are put on hold. Many of your plans have been put back on the shelf or terminated, and you're just feeling really, really stuck because you're living a kind of dichotomy, a paradox basically, because your skills, your ideas, the light and genius of your mind is stronger than ever before, but you never felt so very stuck, so very stagnant. It's almost like outer reality put you into a mental prison because your mind can go anywhere it wants to. From an intellectual perspective, you are free to think for yourself and to philosophize, but if nothing can allow you to turn it into anything, well, that is the prison part. That is where you are feeling really, really stuck. You might be a little bit lost because you just don't know what you want to do in the future. You don't know if there is a future for a person like yourself, because you do know that you're pretty much non-conformistic, you're very rebellious intellectually, as in you have a very strong take no BS attitude. You're someone who really stands up for your principles, for what you believe in. And since you can immediately see the hidden catches in everything, the psychological manipulation, for example, well, you're not gonna make too many compromises, and not even an uncertain future or the fear of stagnating further is simply not enough to deter you to abandon your integrity, your morality, and make the compromises. That is out of the question. And now this is the message from your higher self, from your divine intelligence, which is telling you through that Ace of Cups that whatever you're going through in this present moment, and basically all of the year 2020 for you, it is not as bad or as negative as you might think, because yes, absolutely, your intelligence needs to be contained, your mind needs to be disciplined, and that might, create you moments of overthinking, of worry, anxiety, because intelligence is brute power, and it wants to escape the containment of your mental sphere. But this is where the universe put everything on stop, because all throughout your journey in life, you were very, very preoccupied with your intelligence, with your mind, with your project, with learning, with gaining experience, with getting to know how the human psyche works, but you never had time and opportunity to truly tap into your emotional world, because you're not just someone who possesses a great IQ, but you're also someone who is similarly advantaged, versed, and powerful regarding emotional intelligence, so EQ. And we are stepping into times where both aspects of your being, your mind but also your emotions, have to be on the same level and aligned, balanced with each other, as in working together in a perfect symbiosis, because basically that is the gate to your future. That is the symbolism of the Judgment card reversed. Your passion, your emotional purity, all of your desires, all of your intent, especially all of your good intent, because you want to use all your skills, all your talents for the greater good. No, of course, this doesn't mean that you want to sacrifice yourself and just be a superhero. No, absolutely not. You just want to be very constructive. You want to live a life where you work very honorably and everything that you do contributes to the well-being of other people. But intelligence for this is not enough. The intelligence, as in the mental sphere, has to be fueled, it has to be fed, nurtured, kept alive, kept going by your emotional world, the happiness that you can feel when you're ever in your place of comfort, as in creating, thinking, problem solving, communicating, helping others, sharing your intelligence, sharing the product, the fertility of your mind with the world. So you might be someone destined to become either a writer, a teacher, but I mean a very practical teacher, maybe a very powerful psychologist, someone who can truly revolutionize an industry, someone who embodies the archetype of the visionary, of the inventor, of the deep thinker, of the philosopher. So this is actually your future, and the past doesn't really matter, because all your failures, all the experiments, all the projects that didn't work out were actually more important than anything, because they were the basis, they were the pylons of your experience. And the fact that you knew when to stop, when you actually identified the failure, actually just sharpened your intuition, it sharpened your intelligence, it gave you much confidence that your mind can actually predict what's about to come in a very rational and palpable way. So all of your past makes a lot of sense, and it prepared you for the future, because you are going to do all of what you imagined yourself to be doing when you were a child, when you just set out on this journey, when you were just a mere student. All of your experiences, all of your studies, every single domain that you researched, that you studied, that you absorbed within you, will make a great deal of sense in the future. But before everything, you have to reach a certain kind of emotional mastery, where your emotional world, your desires, your passion, everything that you love, and of course your sense of self is on the same high frequency, on the same high level with your intelligence. The first thing that you do with this emotional clarity, and this is coming very, very soon, is like a regression, a revelation, where you can see the old structure, the old psychological pattern within yourself that is being eliminated in the present moment, because the elimination of that old pattern or psychological programming is going to be the key to success and the key to your future. Because once you remove the subconscious program, then you are going to be totally free to do what you please. And these psychological patterns are nothing else than you trying to live up to expectations of other people. It can be your parents, it can be maybe a sibling, your family, or someone successful who you kind of witnessed and observed when you were little, and you really, really wanted to be just as successful as them because they could provide so much blessing, benefit, material ease and comfort for their loved ones, and that was a big dream of yours. That is what you wanted to do. So this was your hidden motivation. This was why you truly wanted to live up to your true potential, not as much out of your ego or self-centeredness. You didn't really care about all the glory, all the honors. It wasn't about you really. It was truly about your loved ones, maybe your parents or a family member who you really, really wanted to make proud and support and turn their lives into something truly beautiful. And that's why you set out on so many projects. That's why you tried so very hard to make something out of your potential. But this has to end right now, because you have to do this for yourself and not other people. Because when yourself, your own success, your own, and it's not really about success, it is about happiness, being in the flow, being proud of who you are, but totally outside of other people's expectations, even if they're family, even if they're a partner, even no matter who other people are in your lives. You have to do this for yourself. And when you eliminate the expectations of others, or that desire of yours to please and make them happy, and you replace them with making yourself happy, well then everything is going to be instantly unlocked. All your blockages are going to fade away, and the universe, the divine intelligence, fate is going to conspire in your favor. And by making yourself happy, well, you immediately extend that happiness, all the benefits, all the welfare onto your loved ones. So this is the true win-win situation, and this is what your higher self is telling you, to adapt a self-nurturing attitude right now. The stagnation, the blockage is a big blessing in disguise, because it gives you time to reflect, to think, to contemplate, and to tap into your blessings. Now, in your future, in the new paradigm, you're truly doing this for yourself, for your soul, and the human being that you are, and not for other people. This is where you're gonna share your blessings with others, but you're truly doing it for yourself, because you are the hero of your own story. For those of you who were attracted to the mystic palm symbol, your cards are the 5 of Cups, the Tower, 10 of Cups reversed, 7 of Swords, 4 of Swords, and 4 of Pentacles. The cards which open the reading are not the most pleasant or fortunate cards, and they may speak about your past. It can be even recent past, in the sense that in the last couple or the last 3-4 years of your life, where you have suffered a massive loss, and it had a very, very powerful, devastating impact on you. But ironically, after the bitterness, the sorrow of the moment faded away, it kind of turned into a psychological blessing, but you're still not out of the woods just yet. Now, this disaster depicted by the Tower card, well, it can be different things for different people. This is where it can be a financial loss, a massive financial loss. Maybe you're someone who actually lost their home, a house, a lot of money, or all their material goods. For other people, it can be a health problem which had like dire consequences. It was really, really hard for you. For others still, it is definitely and clearly a divorce, a very painful separation, where you had to leave everything behind. Now, it doesn't matter what the event was. What truly matters is that it was really painful. There were moments when you really didn't think you were going to make it. There were moments when you lost all hope, and this was like a continuous dark night of the soul, where you might have experienced all the different dimensions of what sorrow, desperation, heartache, and pain means. And of course, if what you went through wasn't enough, it also pulled to the surface, it triggered all of your traumas, all of the traumas of the distant past, maybe certain unfortunate or negative experiences that you lived through as a child. So it was like a massive karmic snowball of pain, sorrow, heartache, just rolling down the mountain and getting bigger, out of control. But of course, as I said earlier, even though it left a negative impact on you, so it just shattered your heart, it shattered your self-confidence, everything that you thought you were, into million different pieces. Ultimately, it turned into a very profound healing journey where you might have sworn to yourself, to your spirit, to your inner child, that you're not straying from this healing journey, even if it takes years, because you really want to do this. You really want to heal. You want to close the past, and you just want to embrace a future, any kind of future. It doesn't matter how it looks like, materially or socially, as long as it's trauma and pain-free, well, you're totally okay with it, even if it means a lifetime of solitude, even if it means just being there for yourself for the rest of your life. It is still much better than to live in pain, to live in sorrow, guilt, regret, etc. Now, it doesn't really matter what this Ten of Cups reversed signifies, because it can represent the divorce, but it can also represent an emotional distancing from all your loved ones, either because you didn't want to burden them, or because you just felt that no one really in your life is capable of understanding you. No one is capable of empathically picking up what you're actually going through. So this might have meant moments of true soul level loneliness and solitude, where you just had no one in your life to even give you an advice or just to say everything is going to be okay. But this was strictly necessary, because the Seven of Swords represents all your subconscious self-sabotage. It can represent the position of the victim, self-victimization tendencies, all the inner drama coming to the surface. And of course, naturally, for a period of time, maybe 10 months or even more, you embodied the archetype of the victim, because that is what you were living through. You were the victim of your fate. You were the victim of your own compassion, because one part of the loss and the turmoil of the past was due to your own self-sacrificial tendencies, where you actually always looked at the interest, the well-being, the happiness, the psychological comfort of other people. So you started sacrificing as much as you could, your time, your happiness. You didn't express your feelings not to burden other people, and that got into a big black hole of self-repression, basically. You actually erased even your identity because all of the sacrifices you made for other people, may it be your family, may it be that partner who you divorced from, may it be your job, your career, or all the compromises of life. You chose to be silent, you chose to be strong, you chose to be the pillar who carries everyone's crosses. So of course it crashed down, of course it had to come to an end. And naturally, the moments when all your sacrifice and compassion wasn't rewarded with anything positive like you would expect. It wasn't actually good karma. It was disasters, losses, heartache and pains, misfortune. It really, really made you think, and it brought to the surface all your self-sabotage, all your, for example, negative affirmations, the self-loathing, because, rationally, you did what you had to do, but your inner child, your soul, the divine spark inside of you, never agreed to being abandoned by you, and it always held out hope that maybe you're going to reconsider, maybe you're going to invest much more in yourself, in your happiness, live life for your own satisfaction, live life for your heart space and everything that makes you happy, and not to carry the cross of other people or certain responsibilities and duties which in truth have nothing to do with you. They had to do with you because you chose it. Many of your ambitions and things that you've worked for and sacrificed for weren't even to make you happy. They were to make other people happy, and you actually thought that by making them happy, you're going to be so peaceful and your cross is going to be that much more lighter, but it didn't turn out that way. And right now, even though you have done a lot of inner work, you have truly purged out all of the self-sabotage, all of the sabotage of other people, for example, that ex-partner, or someone who just really, really didn't get who you were. I'm not saying that they were full of bad intent or narcissistic or toxic. What I'm saying is that they just didn't get you. So they weren't really a good addition to your life. This ex-partner isn't toxic narcissist for everyone. For some people, it could be quite the opposite, full of love, but that suffocating type of love that maybe they might have been a bit older than you, so they took the role of a parent and not really a partner, so of course it wasn't a happy life. But fortunately you know everything, and your higher self advises you that your life is almost ready to start again. Your heart's wounds are almost patched up, they're almost closed and regenerated. There is one thing left for you to do, and this isn't a purge. This isn't any kind of elimination. This isn't even any kind of healing. But it is something totally different, where right now you have to sit down with yourself, because that Four of Swords represents that many areas of your life are put on hold. This is not an aggressive stagnation, but rather maybe due to the global situation, maybe due to your own wisdom, because you know that right now you cannot rush, you cannot make big decisions, you cannot take very risky actions, so it's better off if you just stay quiet, if you just try to sit this one out. So one way or other, maybe it's the universe holding you in a certain protective kind of stagnation, or maybe it is due to your own wisdom. But either way, you're doing everything right, everything as it is as it should be. And this is opening up the biggest opportunity for you right now to psychologically, your own way, what you have to do right now is to build up a totally new, very, very stable sense of self-worth, that Four of Pentacles, that is self-esteem, that is self-worth. This is where you actually have to heal your ego, because you might be one of those people who have a very faint ego, who don't even cling to a sense of identity or whatever. You're a very easygoing person, you're full of love, so ego, self-centeredness, is not compatible with who you represent on a soul level. But, we live in an imperfect world, so whatever you do, you have to heal your ego. You have to light up the fire of passion. You have to love yourself. You have to give yourself an identity, and you have to stand up for it, protect it, and set a lot of boundaries. If you don't like very many category of people in your life, well, that is what you have to do. Don't tolerate anyone out of morality, out of compassion. This is where you truly have to stand up for yourself. This doesn't mean being cruel-hearted or anything like that, because of course you help. You're an exemplary citizen. You embody compassion, but that doesn't mean enslaving yourself in the service of other people. This is where you help one occasion, but when they come to you the next occasion, well, you say, I'm really sorry, that is all that I could offer. So you have to protect your own boundaries. It doesn't matter if the universe and your soul sees yourself on a very high pedestal if you're totally blind to it. So that is why right now you have to truly work on your sense of self-worth. And this has to be authentic. This isn't just affirmations and trying to convince yourself. This is where you have to believe it with all your power, all your heart. All the strength in your being has to be concentrated on your self-worth. Every single belief, principle, even if it's like the most pure spiritual beliefs or the highest philosophies of piety and modesty, etc. Well, those don't necessarily have to contradict a healthy sense of self-worth. As in, you don't have to take those into extremes. No, absolutely not. You have to believe in who you are and apply your philosophies and principles when life demands it. It doesn't have to be the same frequency, the same movie, symbolically speaking, over and over again. Life is changing, life is a flow, so you have to adapt yourself. When a situation requires modesty and piety, of course you accept it, of course you bow, but other times life requires the total opposite, when you just shine your light, everything that you are, and you believe in it, you protect it, you love it. So basically for you guys, your higher self is telling you, heal your self-worth, your self-esteem right now, and this will open the gates of the future for you. That is gonna be the moment when everything of the past, all the pain, all the turmoil is gonna be definitely shut out, and it's gonna turn to what it always should have been, just a memory, just a chemical imprint in the brain and nothing else. Just a memory has no power over you anymore. For those of you who have chosen the pentacle symbol, your cards are the Moon, Justice, Eight of Wands reversed, the Magician reversed, Two of Swords reversed, and the Hangman. The Moon and the Justice cards speak about a new journey that you have chosen to follow in the recent past. As in the Moon, it might point to the year 2019. The Justice can point to even further than that, 2018 or before. But what these cards are speaking about is that you might have made a very, very powerful and life-changing choice, because it's not like your life wasn't acceptable before that, but it was more of a case where all throughout your life, even from early childhood, you just knew that you had certain kind of talents, skills maybe, or it could be very well something that you either inherited from your own previous existences, or it could be something genetic that ran in your family, but it stopped at your parents or even at your grandparents, but you do carry some kind of heritage, and it may be some kind of spiritual skill like very sharp intuition, but I do get the sense that for the vast majority it is something artistic. Maybe you have a very profound artistic vision. Maybe you have full of artistic ideas, and that can represent an artistic expression of writing, poetry maybe, philosophy. Other people, it can be painting, it can be working with colors. For other people, it can be not as much artistic, but rather new studies regarding psychology or studying the soul and the mysteries of the human psyche. For others still, the moon, it can also speak about music, for example, creating music, DJing, mixing, playing with sound and harmonics. Other people, the justice is the symbol of Libra, and Libra is a very intellectual and artistic air sign, so it can represent digital art, it can represent any kind of artistic expression which is predominant on the internet, social media. But regardless of what that skill or talent is, well, it has to do with the soul, as in the moon. It can have much to do with beauty, as in Justice Libra, ruled by Venus, as in Venus in the sign of Libra is considered to be the celestial Aphrodite. So the beauty in the highest philosophies, the beauty in the most pure thoughts, the platonic kind of love, for example. It can be so very many things, but it has to do with a skill or a talent or an inner impulse which you always knew you had, just that life might not have given you all the right opportunities, all the right friends, mentors or influence who could see just how very, very good you are and start you off the right journey. But the distant past is not really that much relevant right now, because you have kind of discovered this in yourself, and not only is it a journey of discovery, but you also learn to create, to use it, to share it, to offer it to an audience or a collective or to another person, or it could be just yourself experimenting with it, developing your skills, showing and proving to yourself just how good you are. And justice, as in that can represent literal justice, where you're doing all of this to prove that you truly deserve a place among the artistic community, the world, the internet, call it whatever you want. Basically, it can represent your place, but one which you have earned, which you have worked for, which you have fought for in the world. As in, your existence as an artist, as a writer, or it doesn't matter what that symbolism of the moon and the justice means. It can definitely represent like a place in the spiritual community where you have all the right to share your vision, your truth, your own spiritual practices, your own spiritual knowledge, basically your distinctiveness. So it's either artistic, spiritual, or it can have to do with psychology or anything that is subjected to the soul and the dimensions of the soul. And since the first two cards are in upright position, well, that is a really, really good message, because it speaks about your success and proving absolutely everything that you needed to prove to yourself. And why yourself? Well, if you look closely at the Justice card, well, you were and are, of course, your own judge. But it wasn't enough to judge yourself, by looking at outer reality, the physical and palpable nuances of your life, because there is much more to life and existence than it is the physical. So it was imperatively necessary to judge yourself and your situation mostly through your heart, but of course your heart balanced with your intellect, as in the symbol of the heart and the feather. But in order for you to do that, you had to go deep within and just stop any other external influence. As in, when you have to be your own judge, you can no longer compare yourself to any other standards apart of your own. So that means you can't compare yourself to other people, to relevant figures in that industry or in that domain. You have to be simply blindly your own judge. And if that is highly subjective, well, then that is your inner truth. So it's perfect that way. And you have judged yourself, and your verdict was really, really good, because many times you surprised yourselves of how good you are, of you couldn't just believe the beauty of the creation and the skill you've woven into your work or whatever you did. So that was very, very satisfactory. That was a pleasant surprise. You had moments when you were really proud of yourself, like genuinely. A soul level pride, a soul level acceptance, and this kind of changed all your life, because when you saw how very skilled and talented and actually good intended you are, because you didn't want to abuse and make profit of your skills, you just wanted to create beauty or to contribute to beauty, etc. That was also a moral judgment, and chances are, from every single perspective, your own soul's verdict was, well, you truly deserve your place in the world, no matter what you want to accomplish and what you want to do with your skills and talents. You deserve to be there, you deserve to be relevant, you deserve to exist and be very, very successful. And of course, this also represents a certain nuance of the Justice card, where it also implied a big decision, a big massive leap of faith, where you just decided, well, this is what I want to do in life, and everything in my life has to support me right now, because this is what I'm gonna focus on. And you might have experienced what certain people call as the beginner's luck, where everything just flowed your way in order to develop the talents and to reflect back at you how good you are. But we have that 8 of Wands reversed and the Magician reversed. So this whole global turmoil and this massive pivotal moment when, all of our normalities were shattered, it might have stopped you in your tracks, as in more physically than spiritually or psychologically, because psychologically it actually had the opposite effect, where you just created more and more and tapped into yourself because you had all the opportunities and time in the world, and you even refined you even reached a higher level. But all of that is fantastic, but right now you kind of have to work with that. You kind of need a big opportunity, or you need a big chance to actually ground yourself in an activity which can support you in a very physical way, because you know without a shadow of a doubt that difficult or harder times are coming. So you kind of need to be okay, at least you need to be stable, you need to have the bare minimum. And since that 8 of Wands is reversed, well, chances are you're not yet at the breakthrough point. Of course, you're not far off, but you still don't feel as confident materially or socially, so to speak. So you might be really, really questioning that leap of faith that you have performed in the recent past. You might not really know what to do next, because you don't want to give up on your dream. As I said earlier, you made the verdict. You know how much you deserve this. You know that there has to be a place for you, and that place, may it be a place in a community, society, or wherever, that has to support you. And that is exactly why you're beginning to doubt just a little bit, because what is the universe thinking? It gave you all this guidance to start your journey, and it supported you, but what now? how will this support continue? How will your story continue? How will you overcome this standstill? And the magician reversed, well, you don't have very palpable signs right now that it's gonna be absolutely okay and fantastic and it's gonna be a dream in the days to come. So your mind is a little bit filled with doubt, but your higher self is telling you through that Two of Swords reversed that there is a certain kind of conflict between your mental sphere and of course your soul, because your mental sphere is very rational, very realistic. It is not the kind of optimism and blind hope that you trick yourself with. You actually see things the way they are, very rationally, very realistically. And mentally you know that not just you, but everyone else is in trouble right now. And one way or another that frightens you, and it turns you into the hangman position, where you might, analyze different what ifs. What if you are too late? What if you should have followed these passions way before you actually started? As in maybe when you were younger, when you were in your teens or in your 20s. Or maybe you should have stayed safe in your old life the way it was until all of this is over. But then again, how could you have known that this is coming? You might have felt it, or you might have had dreams, but you're only human. How can you have the certainty that the world is gonna turn upside down in an instant, out of nowhere? So your higher self is telling you to dispel all your fears, because on one hand, that Two of Swords reversed, your rational mind does know what is and isn't possible in this present moment, in the now, but it can simply not foresee how things are going to turn out, especially for you personally. But this is where your higher mind, your quantum mind, well, that knows exactly, because the very second and moment you made that verdict that you deserve this, that you deserve a place out there, that you're worthy, that you're capable, that you deserve to be supported by the universe and by everyone equally who you come across. Well, in that very moment when you made this verdict, you already chose your fate. And this is your fate. Somehow, even if it doesn't make rational and logical sense, things are gonna turn into your favor. The universe is actually going to support you. Things are definitely going to work out for you, because as your own soul decided, you deserve a place, and that is reserved for you. That is already coming. That is basically written in the book of fate, and it can no longer be changed. And since also it was an external divine intelligence which one way or another guided you to start out on this journey, well, when your mind cannot think of the details and all the small pieces of the puzzle, just surrender it to the universe, just surrender it to the divine intelligence, because it will definitely find a way. So keep on believing in yourself. Know that you deserve a bright and successful future. Your heart is the light which governs your whole life. So you are definitely doing everything in your power to succeed, but with a massive difference. You want to succeed gracefully. You want to succeed in a very honorable and honest way. And that is exactly why it takes more time than you anticipated. Because everything honorable and meant to last for a very long time, for the very distant future, to have this perseverance, everything in life of that nature takes time to be born, takes time to crystallize, solidify, and simply Stand tall for the long-term future and resist the flow of time so that it can offer you safety and so that you can basically not just have but also keep your place in the world wherever you long to be. Well, this is your pick a card reading. Thank you so much for listening and for playing along. If you liked it and if you found it useful, please like and share. And remember, if you would like a personal reading or if you need some guidance or advice with your problems, feel free to log into 1millionnights.com and you can choose from a vast number of spiritual advisors coming with their own unique gifts and talents from various spiritual traditions, so there is bound to be someone who is perfect and ideal to help you and your own individual situation. Of course, our site has many more free general readings and horoscopes like this one, so check out our blog, our free articles, our Facebook page and YouTube channel, where you can find a lot of free guidance and readings similar to this one. Thank you again for your time and your patience. Until next time, bye for now.